Hello and welcome to an enlightening journey through the world of plants. This is my very first YouTube video. Today, my friend, I want to shed some light on a fascinating topic: the hidden power of plants. In this episode, I aim to dispel the common misconception that plants are passive entities devoid of agency or control over their fate, unaware of their surroundings. In fact, it is us humans who merely exist on the fringes of their world, and that it is the plants who have the upper hand in many ways. The popular notion that plants are peaceful, serene beings who know neither selfishness nor competition is a myth perpetuated by the fact that they feed us. In reality, plants are far from passive. They are masters of deception, and they have learned to manipulate us into believing that they are harmless, selfless entities when, in fact, they are anything but. In forests where sunlight is scarce, only 2% of the light reaches the forest floor. For years, seeds lie dormant, patiently awaiting the perfect moment to seize an opportunity. And when a tree finally succumbs to nature's challenges, its death gives birth to new life. Imagine an old tree, weathering the storms of disease, pests, and time itself. Slowly, it withers away, branch by branch, until it eventually falls. And in that spot on the forest floor, a seed lies in wait, for the very first time in decades, eager to sprout upwards and take its rightful place in the light. As the fallen tree opens up space, the sky clears a bit, allowing a chance for other plants to thrive. But here's the twist, my friend, that seed is not alone. It's surrounded by competing seeds, each armed with their own weapons and tricks, vying for dominance and survival. So buckle up and get ready to dive into the fascinating world of plant warfare. Trust me, you won't see plants in the same way again. The struggle for light among different species can be seen as a fierce competition for resources. In the heart of a vibrant and diverse forest, a relentless struggle for sunlight unfolded among a trio of remarkable plant species, each vying for dominance in the quest for the life-giving rays. First in this botanical drama was the Cyathea glauca tree. This tree, armed with thin stems and an unyielding will to seize the light, shot up from the forest floor like a green arrow. Its growth was relentless, and the plants unfortunate enough to find themselves beneath its shadow withered and succumbed to its dominance. Opposite to the Cyathea glauca tree's brute force, the monstera leaf took a more cunning approach. As it expanded to its full size, it divided into multiple parts, each ascending above the tree. These parts strategically blocked sunlight, hindering the Cyathea glauca tree's growth. The monstera was not alone in this endeavor. It was surrounded by climbing vines armed with tendrils. These sensitive stems reached out, entwining with other plants, as if riding an elevator to the sunlit heights. Once its goal is achieved, it shades the very plant that assisted its ascent, suffocating it and cutting off its nourishment. Yet, even the climbing vines faced their match in the form of the balsa plant. This remarkable contender was equipped with a protective shield of bristles, thwarting the climbing vine's attempts to ascend further. The balsa plant's lightweight wood, with its honeycomb-like structure, allowed it to soar to greater heights. Its base, supported by a relatively light structure, enabled rapid growth. The broad leaves of the balsa plant efficiently captured sunlight, promoting robust photosynthesis that fueled its upward surge. In the intricate dance of botanical survival, not every plant adheres to the traditional strategies of towering over others or casting shade to assert dominance. The black walnut takes a different approach. Instead of reaching for the skies, this plant extends its influence beneath the soil. Employing a unique strategy, the black walnut's modus operandi involves an intricate subterranean ballet, spreads its roots far and wide, creating an extensive network that infiltrates the surrounding soil. Adding another layer to its strategy, the black walnut secretes a potent chemical toxin known as juglone into the earth. This juglone becomes the silent orchestrator of the black walnut's dominance. As it permeates the soil, neighboring plants begin to feel the effects. Their once lush leaves start to don a yellow hue, a visual testament to the unseen struggle unfolding beneath the surface. Gradually, these affected plants succumb to the chemical onslaught, their demise paving the way for the black walnut's unhindered access to essential resources. These battles between plants can last for months, as each plant strives to win and reach the precious light. In the world of agriculture, this scenario of a battle between plants for a single resource, light, is known as the shade avoidance response. It's triggered by a protein that connects light sensors to hormones, causing stem growth at the expense of roots, even if it means sacrificing root development for the sake of catching more light. This response is evident when comparing 3 tomato plants grown under bright light to 3 planted under shade conditions. The plants grown under bright light have long branch roots, while those grown under shade have short roots with no branches, as they prioritize stem growth to capture light more efficiently. One example of a field where wheats are planted close together to increase production density can lead to a problem called sleep, affecting 20% of production, as the roots are not well established, making the crop vulnerable to air pockets. But there are plants that take their nutrition without any effort, as if they order delivery. Allow me to introduce you to the Australian Christmas tree, a misnomer that disguises its true nature. Unlike the festive conifers associated with Yuletide cheer, this botanical trickster gains its notoriety not through festive spirit, but through deception. Picture this, a sly infiltrator amidst a landscape of desolation, where most neighboring plants lie dry and lifeless. Now you might wonder, how did this apparent outlaw manage not just to survive but to flourish? Well, here's where the tale takes a turn towards the malicious side. This botanical schemer employs a strategy that can only be described as sinister in nature. The Australian Christmas tree releases its roots that spread in the soil for over 100 meters. The Christmas tree deploys its armamentarium, known as hostoria, encircling the unsuspecting victim's roots. Simultaneously, it wields razor-sharp blades, reminiscent of scissors, and ruthlessly severs the roots, cutting off the vital supply lines. The botanical thief then attaches itself to the victim's tissues, tapping into its water and nutrient reservoirs without remorse. In the grand scheme of the plant kingdom, the Australian Christmas tree exemplifies the dark side of nature's diversity. It belongs to the ruthless 1%, a faction of around 4,000 flowering plants that have embraced the parasitic lifestyle. These botanical freeloaders defy the conventional norms of self-sufficiency, opting instead to thrive at the expense of their unsuspecting hosts, a stark reminder that even in the serene world of plants, survival can be a cutthroat affair. Some plants, like the cuscata, turned its back on the conventional norms of photosynthesis. Picture this, in the first chapters of its existence, Dodder begins its journey as a seed in the soil, armed with determination but lacking the essentials for solo survival. Unlike its leafy counterparts, it possesses no leaves or true roots, making it seem like a novice in the art of self-sufficiency. However, Dodder is no ordinary plant. It is a botanical opportunist with an audacious strategy. Within the initial fortnight of its existence, this tiny protagonist must embark on a quest not for sunlight or nutrients, but for a host. Its survival hinges entirely on this crucial mission. It must find a companion, a host plant to latch onto. Otherwise, it faces certain death. However, not all plants are so easily duped in the realm of botanical defenses. Not every plant succumbs easily to the tricks of parasitic interlopers. Take the tomato plant, for instance. When it senses an impending attack, it doesn't play the victim. Instead, it gears up for a strategic defense. Upon detecting the intrusion, the tomato plant initiates a remarkable defense mechanism. It creates a wooden texture akin to cork around the affected area, as if fortifying its defenses against the parasitic invader. This natural barrier serves a dual purpose. It impedes the parasitic connection, cutting off the intruder's access to the tomato's precious nutrients, and it effectively seals the fate of the would-be plant thief. But the tomato's defense arsenal doesn't stop there. It deploys a biochemical weapon known as methyl jasmonate, a compound that turns the tables on caterpillar invaders. Instead of feasting on the tomato's leaves, caterpillars under the influence of methyl jasmonate turn to cannibalism, opting to consume their own mates rather than the delectable tomato foliage. In the intricate dance of survival, plants not only face competition from their botanical counterparts for resources, but also contend with an array of threats from herbivores, both small and large. From the persistent nibbling of caterpillars, locusts, and ants, to the more substantial appetites of turtles, elephants, and mice. These creatures pose a continuous challenge as they all hunger for the plant's leaves, stems, fruits, and seeds. To counteract this constant threat, plants have evolved a repertoire of defense mechanisms, both internal and external, to make themselves a less appetizing target, or, at the very least, a more formidable one. A fascinating example lies in the mimosa plant, aptly named the sensitive plant or shame plant. This ingenious botanical defender employs a unique defense strategy. Upon detecting the touch of an insect on its leaf, the plant's receptor cells swiftly transmit electrical signals to the leaf's base. In response, the cells release charged particles, depleting water from their own cells, inducing wilting and ultimately causing the demise of the touched leaves. This dynamic response not only startles the potential threat, but also makes the plant less enticing to other potential predators, effectively averting being consumed. Furthermore, some plants adopt a more structural approach to defense by shielding themselves. They coat their surfaces with bark-rich, dense and challenging to digest compounds, such as lignin. Others take a proactive strategy, growing thorny structures reminiscent of the self-defense mechanisms found in hedgehogs. These sharp and pointed features act as a physical barrier, deterring potential threats and ensuring the plant's continued existence in the unforgiving realm of the wild. Some of them have small hairs that can sting, known as trichomes, similar to those found on zucchini and eggplant leaves. When spinach, kiwi, and pineapple are attacked by herbivores, they activate their defense systems. They produce microscopic needles, called rhaphides, that can create small wounds in the mouths of animals, acting as a defense mechanism. In certain plants, chemicals like histamine can be secreted, causing inflammation similar to the reaction caused by nettles, also known as urticaria. Plants have developed various defensive strategies against predators and microbes. Many drugs and medicinal compounds were initially part of plants' immune systems to protect against threats. These substances were used by plants as a defense mechanism to deter creatures from consuming them or to confuse predators. In case of infection, plants have mechanisms for self-quarantine and preventing the spread of the disease. The affected cells may self-destruct to contain the infection, and the plant sends signals to other parts to strengthen their defenses. Plants can increase the thickness of their waxy layer, strengthen cell walls, and close leaf pores to protect themselves. They can also release compounds to signal other parts of the plant to intensify their defenses or call for help from beneficial organisms to fight the threat. Hidden in the depths of the tropical forests, the bullhorn acacia lurks, the puppeteer of the insect world. A plant with powers that rival those of comic book supervillains. This malevolent plant has the uncanny ability to command swarms of insects, a feat usually reserved for the realms of fiction. The bullhorn acacia strikes a sinister bargain with stinging ants, providing them with shelter and nutrient-rich nectar in exchange for their unwavering protection. However, there is a catch to this Faustian deal. Hidden within the nectar is an enzyme that alters the ants' physiology, rendering them unable to digest any sugar other than that provided by the acacia. This chemical dependency ensures the insect's loyalty as long as they continue to receive their sustenance from the plant. But the bullhorn acacia's cunning doesn't end there. Through the release of mind-altering pheromones, this treacherous plant bends the will of the ants to its own, orchestrating them to serve as relentless protectors, compelled to serve and protect their malevolent benefactor. In moments of peril, like when a hungry animal approaches, the acacia tree releases a chemical signal that spurs its army of insects into a ferocious attack on the intruder's face, often leaving behind scars as a grim reminder of the encounter. Meanwhile, the cotton plant, facing hungry caterpillars, acts as a strategic commander on the battlefield. It releases a potent blend of about 10 chemicals into the air, a distress call sending a clear message to the wasps: come and handle the intruders, swiftly and efficiently. But should the plant find itself defeated in this brutal skirmish, it does not despair alone. No, it spreads the word of danger to its neighboring green companions, a silent warning that echoes through the flora. In an intriguing experiment, researchers introduced insects to sagebrush plants and watched as they ravaged the leaves. The scientists then took things a step further by cutting some of the plants as part of their study. In the aftermath, they discovered something remarkable: nearby branches and even neighboring plants suffered significantly less damage from the insect invaders. The reason? The sagebrush plant had seemingly sent out distress signals, fortifying the defenses of its green allies in the face of adversity. This is why, my friend, you might catch a whiff of a peculiar scent after mowing your grass. It's a chemical message of caution that the grass imparts to its surrounding kin. Plants, though rooted to the ground and unable to flee from threats, exhibit remarkable resilience in their defense strategies. They cloak themselves in strong armor, wield a potent arsenal of chemical defenses, forge alliances with other species, and sound the alarm for those in their botanical community. So, as a byproduct of self-defense mechanisms, plants next to it are the ones eavesdropping on these signals. It's a form of communal protection that ensures the survival of the species, even when individual plants fall in battle. The first rule of nature is that every species is concerned with its own survival and doubts the rest. Plants circumvent this rule by doing what they want, like the orchid, one of the smartest plants, which has spread to almost all continents of the world. European orchids, for example, target male bees, knowing they want to get married. The flower secretes pheromones similar to those of female bees, attracting the male and getting him to rest on the flower that doesn't only release pheromones, but also resembles a female bee in appearance. As the male bee attempted to mate with the false female orchid, he unknowingly became covered in pollen. Over time, as the male bees became increasingly aware of this deception, they began to avoid flowers with similar scents. However, the orchid's plan was successful, as the male bees left the area and were deceived by another flower far away that produced different pheromones. The bee would then rest on this new flower, believing it to be a potential mate, and inadvertently transfer the pollen from the first orchid to this new location. This intricate strategy, employed by the orchid, ensures that the pollen is successfully transferred to a new location, allowing for successful fertilization and the continuation of the plant's lineage. The male bee, unaware of the orchid's deception, becomes a pawn in the plant's elaborate game of seduction and manipulation, highlighting the complex relationships that exist between plants and their pollinators. Plants, with their resourcefulness and cunning tactics, often engage in a game of trickery with insects. They lure pollinators with their alluring colors, scents, and shapes, leading them to unwittingly assist in the plant's reproduction. An example of this deception is seen in the Drachea orchid, which mimics the appearance of another insect to attract a specific pollinator. Similarly, the Oncidium orchid adopts the guise of a male bee to entice real bees into assisting in pollination. These intricate strategies, employed by flowers, serve a vital purpose to attract pollinators and ensure successful fertilization. The seemingly romantic allure of flowers, with their sweet scents and vibrant colors, is merely a ploy by the plant to seduce its pollinators and guarantee its survival. And now when it comes to musty smells, they certainly don't hold back on making a memorable impression. Have you ever heard of plants that emit putrid smells? First up, we have the Dracula orchid. Its name alone is enough to pique your interest, but wait till you hear about its scent. It smells like cat urine. Yes, you heard that right. This pungent aroma attracts flies, which in turn helps the orchid pollinate. Next, we have the Rafflesia, the largest flower in the world. It can weigh up to 7 kilograms and have a width of 1 meter. But here's the catch: it doesn't have roots or leaves. This flower feeds parasitically off other plants, but that's not all it does. To attract a mate, it produces a putrid smell, similar to that of a dead body, hence its second name, the corpse flower. This foul odor attracts corpse flies, which help it pollinate. The Rafflesia existed before humans did around 60 million years ago. That's older than T-Rex. These flowers have been around for a long time, and they're not going anywhere anytime soon. So, the next time you're walking through the jungle and come across a flower that smells like death, don't be alarmed. It's just nature's way of surviving. Now you might be thinking, these are just tricks to deceive insects. Insects are stupid. But you'd be wrong. These plants are not only able to deceive insects, but also animals. The green bird flower, with its vibrant green hue and unique shape, and the Yulin magnolia, with its delicate white petals, both attract the attention of birds with their shape. These plants have evolved to rely on specific bird species for pollination. The white egret orchid, with its stunning white blooms, is another example of a plant that depends on birds for pollination. One of them, the Holokia flower, only 57 of them remain in nature. Because the bird pollinated it, the IUE is on the verge of extinction, and whose beak these plants were trying to imitate. This is where Hank Oppenheimer comes in. He is working tirelessly to ensure the survival of this endangered species by hand-pollinating the plants, using a light brush to transfer pollen from one flower to another. Before he leaves each plant, he plays the sounds of the bird species that typically pollinate it, in the hopes of attracting more birds to the area and further increasing the chances of successful pollination. In the intricate dance of nature, we witness the emergence of the new embryo, the crown prince, the seed. But does the plant simply cast it aside to emerge alongside it? No, for if the seed falls beneath the plant's canopy, it will sprout into a competing plant. The diversity and resilience of a plant population come from its ability to colonize new territories, and that requires the transfer of seeds. Take, for example, the wild oat seed and its peculiar behavior. Each seed head boasts 2 arms known as awns. When the seed falls near the mother plant, these arms come into action in a remarkable display of natural ingenuity. They begin to walk, creeping along until they encounter a rock or a crevice in the soil, where they instinctively burrow themselves, ready to take root and grow. Another tree, called sandbox, which disperses its seeds in a truly unique and captivating manner. If you happen to encounter a sandbox tree nearby, you will be struck by its alarming sound, a warning signal that sets it apart from its tranquil surroundings. The sandbox tree has earned its name for its fruit, which holds a hidden danger within. When ripe, these fruits do not simply fall to the ground like others. Instead, they explode with a forceful energy, scattering their seeds in all directions. The explosion can be so powerful that it can launch seeds up to distances of 100 meters, ensuring that the new generation of sandbox trees has a chance to take root far from the parent tree. There are certain seeds that have evolved a cunning strategy known as hitchhiking. Have you ever walked through plants and found thorns sticking to your sneakers or clothes? These plants use you and your clothes as a means of transporting their seeds far away from their original location. In most cases, this is a harmless trick that helps the plant disperse its seeds efficiently. However, there are some instances where hitchhiking seeds can have deadly consequences. One such example is the Personia tree, which takes the concept of hitchhiking to a sinister level. It leaves its seeds on birds that build nests on its branches. These seeds are covered in thick mucus and tiny hooks, forming clusters of up to 200 seeds. When the bird lays eggs and the chicks hatch, the seeds attach themselves to the young birds, adding weight and hindering their ability to fly. As a result, these young birds fall from the tree and unfortunately perish due to hunger. It's a tragic cycle where the seeds ultimately use the victim's body as fertilizer to nourish themselves. Another plant taking a different approach is one that attracts bats. These plants have evolved concave, elongated leaves that reflect ultrasound waves emitted by bats, effectively inviting them to come inside and sleep. And every now and then, it pees too. This shows you that plants do not search for any animal. No, it has cognitive preferences for its partner. Some other pitcher plant employing ingenious tactics to capture prey. By luring frogs, insects, or mice with nectar and using slippery mouths to trap them in a liquid-filled well, these plants secure a steady supply of nutrients. The trapped animals soon realize their predicament as they struggle against waxy secretions on the inner walls, only to meet a grim fate as they decompose into a nutrient-rich meal for the plant. This is one species of about 630 carnivorous plants. One such plant is the Venus flytrap, which has modified leaves that function as traps. These leaves are divided into two halves, each with small trigger hairs. When an insect or other prey touches one of these hairs, the plant counts the number of times it is touched within a certain time frame. If the prey makes at least 5 contacts, the plant sends digestive enzymes to break down the prey and extract the nutrients it needs. This strategy ensures that the plant does not waste energy on small prey or raindrops, as it can be a significant drain on resources. All carnivorous plants are different in their own way. Some other carnivorous plants have a variety of unique mechanisms to capture and digest their prey. For example, butterworts and sundews have leaves covered in a sticky glue that traps insects. Sundews further ensnare their prey by rolling their leaves around the captured insect, tightening the grip as the struggling prey tries to escape. Bladderworts, also known as utricularia, have leaves shaped like bladders with a hinged door lined with trigger hairs. When a small organism like an amoeba or larva touches these trigger hairs, the bladder rapidly absorbs the prey in a fraction of a second. The victim is then trapped in a watery grave within the bladder until it is digested by the plant. In the grand narrative of existence, the tale of plants unfolds as a mesmerizing odyssey of adaptation, spanning the vast tapestry of Earth's landscapes, from the arid deserts to the depths of aqueous realms, and even the crevices of urban sprawl. Their journey echoes through time, a testament to resilience amidst ever-changing environments. Across eons, plants have not merely flourished, but sculpted the very fabric of our world, weaving threads of life that bind us all. Millions of years ago, the emergence of plants heralded a transformative era, paving the way for the flourishing world we inhabit today, making it hospitable for humanity to thrive. The delicate balance of nature hinges on the symbiotic dance between plants and animals, with their photosynthesis sustaining our respiration in a harmonious interplay. Yet, amidst their defense against natural adversaries, it is we, humanity, who pose the greatest threat to their survival, paradoxically relying on them for our very sustenance. As scientists delineate the epochs of our existence, the transition from the Holocene to the Anthropocene era marks a profound shift in Earth's narrative. Since 1950, human activities have reshaped the global climate, eclipsing even the cataclysmic events that led to the demise of the dinosaurs. In this era of human dominance, our actions have wrought havoc upon plant populations, with a staggering 50% reduction in species worldwide, portending dire consequences if left unchecked. Plants, the silent architects of our planet, weave the intricate tapestry of life, creating the essential conditions for existence to thrive. Yet, as we heedlessly disrupt and destroy their habitats, we imperil not only their survival, but our own. The wisdom gleaned from plants implores us to relinquish our hubris, embracing harmony with nature rather than imposing our will upon it. May this reflection serve as a clarion call, awakening us to the intricate interconnectedness of life and urging us to reassess our relationship with the natural world. For plants, neither saint nor sinner, epitomize resilience in the face of adversity, reminding us of our shared responsibility to safeguard the fragile ecosystems that sustain us all. It is incumbent upon us to heed their silent counsel before it's too late, for in their wisdom lies the key to our collective survival.